South Africa, a very disconcerting story to tell you about. And this is not hyperbole. This is not meant to frighten people. I don't like clickbait. I also don't like getting people overly excited about things that are unnecessary. But a threat to public safety has been issued by none other than the leader of the MK party, Jacob Zuma, who in the last hour, while we were busy doing analysis of the election, the potential outcomes of coalitions and what machinations could be taking place, Jacob Zuma was holding a press conference in which he threatened the Independent Electoral Commission and public safety. He threatened to once again cause the chaos that was caused in July 2021 when he was sent to the Estcourt prison. Ladies and gentlemen, at this hour, Jacob Zuma is threatening the public, threatening violence. So he said that the IEC should not release its election results tomorrow, and he says that there will be trouble if they release those results. Now, the IEC is bound by law to release these results unless they have clear evidence of some irregularities. The SARA president, Colleen Makubela, said 20 parties have also raised objections with the Independent Electoral Commission about the election process. She says these parties have found a father in former President Jacob Zuma who will lead them in the issues they've raised with the IEC. Jacob Zuma is building a coalition to unseat the elected government of this country and to threaten violence against South Africans. This is very distressing and disheartening to hear at this hour after an election that just took place in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unprecedented. We haven't seen this sort of nonsense since 1994, and it is not good. This is what he said. Jacob Zuma in the last hour said, "Nobody is going to announce tomorrow unless they were not working with us," said Zuma. He claims they have more information to give to the Independent Electoral Commission, and therefore they should not be rushed. Now, it's a fair statement, but that isn't the problem. He says, Jacob Zuma, in the press conference, that people must not be provoked. There is going to be trouble. Now, this is a clear intimidation tactic, a threat against the people and the lawful authorities of South Africa. This is frightening. This is quite serious, quite serious. The MK party chairperson said that the MK party will not reveal the evidence that they have provided the IEC on claims of irregularities. Now, I should note that Propaganda 24 News 24 has chosen, as have other outlets, to not release the information regarding the irregularities. Apparently, they know what they are because they've been at the National Report Center. This is what News 24 had to say. News 24 has made an editorial decision to not publish unverified claims about election irregularities that the MK party is making at that press conference. Once the IEC has investigated the claims, they will report on it. So let's take a look and see what the Independent Alliance is reporting about this right now. This is a pretty bad situation, folks. We've got the former president of the country who apparently foolishly thinks that his party actually won enough to govern the country on their own, and therefore is threatening if they don't get what they want. That they're going to threaten violence against South Africans. This is unprecedented in years. We haven't seen this in a long time. So the IEC is going to declare the results despite Jacob Zuma's threats of violence. If you live in the Gauteng area, you live in KwaZulu-Natal, I suggest that you contact your local community security organization. Make sure that your patrols are ready, your batteries are charged, you have potable water in your homes, you have hoses connected to your fire poles in case people start throwing Molotov cocktails. You secure all your valuables and ensure you know where the location of your family members are over the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm not trying to alarm anyone. I'm just telling you, use good judgment, because Jacob Zuma has threatened essentially civil war in South Africa if he doesn't get his way. And this is breaking news just coming out in the last couple minutes. The Independent Electoral Commission is declaring the election results tomorrow despite threats from Jacob Zuma. They plan to declare election results Sunday amid 579 objections that have been filed. The IEC chairperson, Monsanta Motsenye Musopaya, said the commission has received 579 objections from political parties. It's after several political parties have lodged complaints alleging the election were rigged. And they also cuts across the election result board being offline for a couple of hours on Friday morning. So what exactly do we really think happened? I'm not saying that there was nothing untoward going on, but does the MK party think that the ANC rigged the election so that they would have 40%? If they're going to rig the election, you'd think they would have got 49 or 50%. The objections could arise given the intense pressure from parties. They will announce the election results tomorrow. Former President Jacob Zuma has called for the IEC to listen to the grievances of the MK and 20 other aggrieved parties that include SARA, ACC, ACT, ACP, ACDP, SUN, COPE, UDM, AADP, the Patriotic Alliance, Zuluva, CISA, the PMC, the AHC. This is like alphabet soup. The ARA, the UAT, the AM4C, the APC, Al-Jama, UIM, SARCO, ATM, and OHM. OHM is also involved in this. Wow. Now, again, most of these parties made these claims in the Western Cape. So I'm not sure what these objections are. We have not seen them to the IEC, but the fact that Jacob Zuma is threatening violence in South Africa, if he doesn't get his way, is shocking. This is not the measured response of a statesman. This is not the behavior of an octogenarian who's a former president. This is the behavior of a lunatic. That's what this is, a lunatic. A lunatic, an absolute lunatic. Yeah, this is a person of complete arrogance who claims the ANC is arrogant, but his arrogance pales, or their arrogance pales in comparison to his, I should say. He was flanked by several disgruntled political parties when he spoke at this press conference at the National Results Center in Midrand tonight, just within the last hour. The parties had given the IEC until 10 p.m. to respond. Zuma said public institutions such as the IEC had to serve the people. Well, the IEC should serve the people, and it should tell us the results of the investigation, which the Zuma's own people claimed that his party fraudulently obtained the 15,000 signatures, or the signatures they need to get on the ballot. Why did the IEC not release that investigation and complete it to disqualify MK from even being on the ballot? Because they're cowards, and the ANC is a cowardly political party. And now we're going to deal with the aftermath of this. I was here in August last year when the taxi strike happened and they murdered a British doctor on the road to the airport because he turned the wrong way, went to a township, shot him dead in his car in front of his wife and child. And other people were killed here, including a worker who was transporting people to the airport to work at the airport, and he was murdered because he was driving people to the airport. This is not a good situation. We do not need the leaders of political parties threatening the Independent Electoral Commission, whether it's right or wrong. You don't threaten them with violence, and you do not threaten the public with violence. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that the government at the moment should be, a judge should be issuing a bench warrant for the arrest of Jacob Zuma at this hour. A judge should be issuing a bench warrant for the arrest of former President Jacob Zuma for terroristic threats to public safety and imprisoning him right now. Take him before a magistrate and get a hearing. This is beyond the pale, unacceptable nonsense. This is what Donald Trump was actually accused of but didn't do on January 6th. Jacob Zuma has done it. And the political party standing shoulder to shoulder with him when he said that, if they do not disavow his threats of domestic terrorism, then they should also be disavowed by their voters. All those parties. What Jacob Zuma said is unacceptable. It is not tolerable in a civilized society. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe this garbage is happening. And I'm here on this momentous time in South Africa when this is actually happening. Jacob Zuma should be arrested for issuing terroristic threats against the public and against the Independent Electoral Commission. This is clear and obvious, blatant, illegal interference in the electoral process. This is a political party that is interfering with the political process illegitimately. Wow. Yes, Boshoff, it's the Wild West of South Africa. This is crazy, crazy. And I was going to be in Gauteng at the Results Center. I would have been there to hear this. My jaw would have dropped to the floor if it had not been for my passport coming back so late and only getting into South Africa the night before the elections. It is unbelievable. Well, it's not totally unbelievable. It is their nature, but he has gone completely rogue. His racist platform for the MK party advocates state ownership, theft of everything, and the exclusion of everything, and the removal of the justice system and Roman Dutch law. And now he resorts to Shaka Zulu type tactics to get his way. This is not the 17th century, the 18th century, the 19th century. This is the 21st century. This is not acceptable. Not acceptable. This is what the racists during the apartheid era warned people about. They said that this sort of thing would happen. It's pretty scary. Yeah, Samantha says, we're so desensitized, just know that it's South Africa. Well, I'm not, Samantha. I'm not. I've served in 5 combat tours in multiple continents, and I've served in uniform for years and seen death up close and personal in horrific conditions. And I'm not desensitized to this sort of threat. I hunted terrorists down. I investigated terrorists. This is not acceptable. And perhaps that's why it's helpful to have an outside voice like mine commenting and observing these events. This is unbelievable. Wow. Now, Zuma questioned why there was a rush to announce the results on Sunday, because that's the time frame. See, this is comical. Jacob Zuma knows what the time frame is for certifying the results. Jacob Zuma knows that the government, by the Constitution, because of the stupid clause, is required to form a government within 14 days after the election. Yet, he's got a problem with this. While Zuma was speaking, current President Ramaphosa sent a media alert announcing he would be at the Results Operations Center in Midrand at 5 p.m. for the election results announcement. So, we will be in Pringle Bay at the Burger Bar at 5 p.m. tomorrow. We'll be there. Hopefully there's a television. We can watch this and give you a reaction party. Mandarin says, thank you for your coverage. It's my pleasure. Thanks for being here. Said all along that he was going towards Shaka, so I'll give this. He's clever. Paid by others, pulling the wool over their eyes. Yeah, and they're all stupid. Anybody that supported Jacob Zuma is a moron, because this is the path he was always on. It's pretty obvious. Wow, this is unbelievable, folks. I mean, geez, my goodness. So, MK is demanding that they rerun the elections. Rerun the elections? Now, actually, I made that demand in Pennsylvania, but that was for one state in 2020. He wants the entire election rerun. Can you imagine? I'll tell you what, folks. My decision to come to South Africa and observe these elections and comment on them in person, up close and personal, was the right decision. I don't care how much money it cost me. This is historic and momentous. Andre Fundeval, I'll be in South Africa until the 25th, and then I head back. He does remind me of Dingane. Yeah. In Democratic South Africa's Dingane. That's what he is. We'll start calling him that. Wow. Now, you can't fool us. We know exactly what was happening. There is an IT entity which was appointed in Cape Town that interfered during that 2-hour period. We can confirm it. They were rigging the system. Now, here's the odd thing. MK is claiming that when the IEC's results board went down, that the vote was rigged against his party. How? They kept gaining. The ANC kept falling. What did they say? Pringle Bay is in my neck of the woods. Well, you are welcome to come join us at the meet and greet tomorrow at 4 p.m. Cropatia. You're welcome to come. Everyone's welcome. So, wow. The days of owning us have come to an end. We don't have a manifesto. We have a people's mandate, and this is a manifestation of that, said Ndela, not Zuma, Ndela. This is insanity. What people's mandate? 15% of the vote? That's not a mandate. I don't know where you got math at, but that is not it. So with all of that, we are engaging with our legal team. They have stated that we should contemplate a revote. We want a total revote, said Ndela from the MK party. Wow. Media swarmed former President Jacob Zuma as he arrived at Results Center tonight, and then he did his press conference. Some journalists with cameras fell as they were pushed by the security detail. Yeah, see the arrogance? This conquering Zulu king? My goodness. Oh my goodness, I live in Howick, SOS, as yes, and that's why I came on tonight, to caution people, to warn you. Look, those of you who know me know that I'm not a Cassandra. I don't run around. I'm not like, those eucalyptus leaf eating sycophants and threaten you. And I'm not saying anything's going to happen. What I'm telling you now, because people didn't listen to me on June 29th of 2021 when I was the only freaking analyst in the world that warned you what was coming and did it day after day after day. I'm telling you now, if you're not prepared for danger, chaos, and violence, you may regret it, and your loved ones may regret it. Please take this seriously. Batteries, water, rations, firearms, ammunition, self-defense measures, community support groups, community security groups, radios. Do your radio checks. Do your rehearsals. You will not be protected by this incompetent government. If, in fact, this is not an empty threat. It may just be an empty threat. But if it's not an empty threat, we will see a repeat on a far bigger scale and not restricted to KZN of what happened on July 9th of 2021. And for those who don't remember what happened, billions of dollars of damage, stores looted, burned to the ground, crematoriums looted, radio stations robbed of their transmitting equipment, ammunition stolen from the port in Durban, and officially 354 people murdered. Unofficially, many, many more. This is beyond the pale, ladies and gentlemen. This is not acceptable in a proper society. Let me go read your chat here, and I'll come back to the comments because more information is coming in as we're on the air. Look, I didn't anticipate doing the second briefing tonight, but here's the Colonel's sit rep. It's all going to crap here. Marty from Balin says good evening. Samantha Holmes says good evening. Jax is here. That's when we got started. Helen Duplessis, and we have proof that Zuma acts on what he says. Yes, we do. Jay-Z is a problem. He is indeed that. All good here until this threat has me super pissed off. So over the crap we've been subjected. Yeah, exactly. Agonias 101, welcome to Zuma must fall was a catchphrase when he was our leader. Zuma needs to be in prison, had the NC punished. Yep, we should not succumb to threat, just despicable picture for South Africa. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And let's see how the press will spin this. Let's see what they'll say about it. Let's see. Now, here's the discussion earlier. People were worried about an ANC-MK coalition. That's dead. That just died. If it's a serious, genuine threat, it just died. If you think Jacob Zuma is arrogant, look at Munir Palapala, Cyril Ramaphosa, and how arrogant he is. You think he's going to take kindly to be threatened like this publicly? I don't think so. Yeah, Dylan says contact your life insurance, make sure you're covered. Steve family needs to be put extra protection. Yeah, okay. The old man who was so frail, he got a medical release from prison. Must be exactly like Rain. Exactly. He had his sentence remission because his health was so poor. Personal opinion, says Debbie, why allow criminal establishment parties so many pawns in this? They are guilty. Yeah, and why is the investigation into the fraudulent signatures not completed and the MK removed from the damn thing anyway? Life insurance won't help you, but it'll help your heirs. Teresa Smuts, I'm sure that counting the votes will be easier. Yeah. Mel says, IEC briefing just ended and responded relatively well. They're not intimidated by threatening all objections. Same. MK threatened if results released. Lots. Well, you say blah blah blah, but we'll see what happens. And Sandy was just stressing about this. So right, Chris. Damn alphabet soup. Oh, it is alphabet soup. Courts allowed it. He's smoking his business, Chris. That's what happens when common criminals are pardoned from jail sentences. Yeah, cowards. Absolutely agree. Arrest him. So there's no judge will issue a warrant for Jay-Z right now. Yeah, probably not, Slippery Pickle, because they're cowards. And Connie just clicked the thumbs up. Thank you for that. Bosso says the Wild West of South Africa. Justin Unwin. Hey, Justin. Well, those of you living here in the Western Cape, probably unless you live in the Cape Flats, are in pretty good shape. Probably not going to experience any of this nonsense. But if you live in KZN or in Gauteng, get ready for a really bumpy ride here if they go through this. James says, I agree with Chris regards Jay-Z. Yep, treason. Exactly, Reno. Hey, Reno. It's totally unbelievable. This is it's not totally unbelievable, says Chris, their nature, okay? Samantha Home, we're so desensitized. Got that already. They only behave. Okay, what else? I'm catching back up now. Mandarin says, okay, thank you for covering our elections. You're welcome. Said that all along he was going towards Shaka Zulu, says Debbie, Jax, and Chris necklacings. Oh, good Lord. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Samantha says, I appreciate your point of view. It's sobering that this is truly not right. Yeah, it's what's sobering is that we're doing this. And again, I am not telling you anything's going to happen. I'm not saying that. I'm not one of these, I'm just telling you that this threat should be taken seriously. It's not hyperbole. He's not just, flippantly saying, you know what, if you don't get it done, people are going to be angry. No. He said there will be trouble. We know what trouble is when it comes to Jacob Zuma and his arrest. And we know what people do on his behalf. We've seen it up close and personal, and it isn't pretty. Wow. Mail Joe, excellent take, Colonel. Thanks for keeping us updated. The voice of reason and respect. Thank you very much. Andre says, awesome. So, okay, what else? Pringle Bay is my neck of the woods, says Crookotopia. All right, well, you're welcome to come join us. Riel, welcome to you. Tommy says, watching again, I like hearing your views on what is going on here. I shared your channel with my brother-in-law who recently retired as Lieutenant Colonel of Southern Army. I'm sure he'd like to golf with you. Well, let me know where he's at. I haven't golfed in South Africa ever. I'm happy to golf here. I can go with someone. Yep. Seems like Zuma wants to carry out his own little infecani. Yeah, no, it's interesting you should say that. Yeah, crap is going to hit the fan, says Henry. I hope not, and I don't mean to frighten people, and that's not my part. How many times did I say that? 5, 6 times? I'm saying it again. Yep. Just telling you. Zuma going to run to Russia while Ron Post runs to London. FW Freedom says, let's go. Enemies at the door, get ready. God help my country. Zulu liability, South Africa. What else we got here? Yep. Sadly, 90% of us have no way to get away from it all. We just have to muddle as best we can. No white flags. Yeah, don't give up. Don't surrender. I'm not a Zuma supporter, but he did not threaten violence. He threatened legal action. No. He threatened violence. I'm not a supporter either, and I'm also not a Cassandra, and I'm not someone who jumps to conclusions. I heard what he said. I read the quote. He said there will be trouble. He didn't say we're going to take you to court and we'll resolve this in court. He said there will be trouble. I will read again part of the quote from Jacob Zuma in the press conference. People must not be provoked. People who file lawsuits are not provoked. They're responding and following the legal process. There is going to be trouble. The words of Jacob Zuma, not me. Not me. So, yeah. Look, I hope you're right. And maybe you are right, but that is not what was said. Okay. An opportunity to move to Dubai. Don't want to leave. Well, I wouldn't say leave, folks. Don't go anywhere. I mean, let's just, this could all be blown over. There's no smoke without a fire in this case. Who would have thunk a chorus of minor parties could club together on this? Exactly. Look, the multi-party charter couldn't come together, but some of the multi-party charter members are now part of the Zuma coalition. Zuma is a coalition of bum-hurt parties who didn't get any votes because nobody wants to vote for the pathetic little parties. Yeah, look at that. Does he not understand at this point the numbers won't change? Exactly. I don't know what his claim is. That's what I'm saying. Yep. So, and the fact that there were 40-some parties, 35 parties in the election, 579 objections, that's out of 15 million votes in stations all over the country, 23,000 stations. So, yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot, to be honest. All right, what else? Slip, you're right. Only God can say what's coming. But then again, Jay-Z can't count, says Justin. Yep. Yeah, pick and pay, checkers, and spar are gone. Correct, Andre? If that happens. Google Andre Pinar and his article about Jay-Z and his MK party created by the Russians. Okay, thank you for that. A2J, thanks for sharing, Chris, and being on top of things. Yeah, definitely on top of things. I mean, I literally finished my broadcast and my analysis an hour and 50 minutes into it. We had a huge audience. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. A lot of you have come back. Thank you for that. I literally was going to take a break, get something to eat, relax, eat some crisp here because I love the barbecue lays in South Africa. They're much better than the barbecue lays in the United States, even though it's American crisp. I was going to get that, get my laptop set up, relax, get some sleep, and get ready for tomorrow. But then I checked the news update, and this press conference had ended less than 4 minutes prior, and this is what was going on. It's crazy. I had to read it. That's why it took me about 15 minutes to get this thing going. I want to confirm that I wasn't just misreading this, because the media is in the habit of putting clickbait titles up right now, like the Helen Zilla thing. Helen Zilla says they're going into a coalition with the ANC. Not exactly what she said. She said it's on the table. Anyway, so yeah. Mandarin says, you're right in thinking he might propagate the tactics of People's War, kind of recycling ANC strategy. Yeah. Cami Chuckle says, all he has a God and faith, okay? And then our power just went down. Not sure if it's a storm or ESCOM. Chris Holmes wants to know what's happening coming in from Australia. Well, Chris, Jacob Zuma just concluded a press conference. The IEC had their press conference. Jacob Zuma, his press conference with 20 parties around him standing next to him, told the IEC that they better not publish the results tomorrow for the election. He said nobody is going to announce tomorrow unless they were not working with us. In other words, Jacob Zuma just declared anyone who publishes results of the election on Sunday to be the enemy of these political parties. He claims they have more information to give the IEC and therefore they should not be rushing to put that stuff in. So he followed up by saying people must not be provoked. You're provoked because the IEC is certifying or releasing election results. How does that provoke you? If you have an objection, file a complaint. There's a process. Don't threaten. He says people must not be provoked. There is going to be trouble. I don't know what trouble means to you, but to me, when someone makes a statement like that, that is an intimidation tactic. It is an intentional effort to frighten or to intimidate people to take actions that you want, the outcome that you're looking for. This is beyond the pale, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely bat crap crazy beyond the pale. O just a few moments ago said he didn't threaten violence. That's O's inference and interpretation. And O could very well be correct. But I'll tell you this, 36 and a half years in uniform, somebody makes a statement like that, hunting terrorists, fighting wars, dealing with diplomats, non-government organizations, multinational corporations, churches, mosques, synagogues, farmers. People don't make statements like this unless they mean something by it. People must not be provoked. There is going to be trouble. Wow. That is, folks, I mean, what else do you say about that? So that's what's going on at this hour, and that's why I went with this live stream. Again, I thought I was done for the night, and then this crap popped up. Wow. Yep, says there'll be trouble. So the news media is, I don't know if they're embargoing it now, but they're not reporting any more on it. So let me see if any more stories. I have not checked Times Live of the Daily Maverick. Let me just do that very quickly. Daily Maverick and Times Live, and see if they have a different take on this, and then I'll give you my analysis of what they have to say. So the Daily Maverick, recount of votes ordered in 24 instances. Oh, wow, okay, that wasn't shared by any of the other media. So there's going to be a recount. What? Let's see this. This is just, I mean, wow. Stuff is just happening left and right. I might as well just stay in line all night. It's breaking news. Wow. Wow. IEC Commissioner Dr. Nomza Masuku concludes their briefing 15 minutes ago, suggesting South Africans pray for the IEC's long night considering objections. Okay, they're considering the objections tonight. Okay, overnight. And so where are these recounts happening? There are 20 in Gauteng, 3 in Northwest, and 1 in Limpopo. 24 recounts of the vote will be taking place, not a nationwide, not in KZN. 20 recounts. Are they material enough to have an impact on the outcome of the election? No. There you go. And that's exactly what it is. So the IEC will do 24 recounts in 24 different voting jurisdictions, 20 in Gauteng, 3 in Northwest, and 1 in Limpopo. That's not good enough for Jacob Zuma. He says there will be trouble. Wow. There are 6 general themes of the objections. Number 1, someone filed an objection but hasn't had a chance to deal with the results. Okay. Number 2, there are allegations filed by a third party regarding claims that votes were not recorded for a particular party. Now, we've seen anecdotal evidence of that spread all over social media. I cannot speak for the veracity or vouch for that. So that's why I haven't shown any of those videos, why I haven't played any of those videos, but I've been getting videos like that all day today from people claiming that these are party officials at polling locations. And what they would do is their voters would come by, they'd confirm that they're voting. And then after all their voters came through, they went to the IEC to see how many votes they got for that particular party. And let's say they had 180 people who came through. I'm making these numbers up, but this is a real story. 180 people, real claim anyway, 180 people from that party who went in to vote, and then they looked at the national ballot, and presumably most of those people, if not all of them, would vote for that party. But then they said there were no votes. And then looked at the provincial one, they said 180 people, and they got 75 votes. So something's fishy there, according to the claims spread across social media today. I cannot vouch for the veracity of any of those, and that's why I haven't shown you those claims. I'm just telling you that's the sort of claim that's out there. Number 3, allegations under oath that votes were not recorded for a particular party with an accompanying affidavit. That's part of it too. Number 4, people asking about seat allocations, the kind of things you are going to consider. Not really sure how that's an objection. Number 5, people raising concerns about conduct of party agents or candidates during special voting or an election day. Well, that's a complaint that came prior to the May 29th. And number 6, people raising issues affecting either the conduct or training of election officials. Now that is legitimate, absolute complaint. I don't know that that changes the outcome of the election because you can't change it as a result unless you revote. But the training of IEC election officials was wildly uneven. And I can tell you that from observing 10 different polling stations in the Western Cape. Somerset West, 5 in Khayelitsha, Manenberg, Rondebosch, Sea Point, Woodbridge Primary, Parklands, and Table View. All of those places I visited on election day, and some were well run, others were a disaster. Yeah, so now the argument here is that the IEC has 7 days that they can wait to announce this. Yeah, but they said that many people really invested want to have this work brought to a close. But people want it brought to a close is the political parties themselves, because they want to work on a coalition if they don't know the results. You can see just the amount of time people queued. Yes, I mean, one of my viewers waited 7 hours to vote in Joburg. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So, yeah. So that's a pretty good summary by the Daily Maverick. Thank you for that. What does Times Live have to say? Yeah, Jacob Zuma causes media frenzy at the National Results Center. Let's see what this is. Okay, stop that. All right, so MK party leader, former President Jacob Zuma caused a media frenzy at the IEC's National Results Operations Center in Midrand. Yeah, they performed well, receiving 14.59% of the vote, putting them third, and the party just came around a short time ago. But that's it. There's nothing else in the story. He caused utter chaos with these threats. This is just crazy, folks. I don't know what to tell you. This is absolutely background crazy. Once again, for those just tuning in late, this is Chris live in Cape Town, just across the street from DHL Greenpoint Stadium, where I watched my Stormers beat the Lions today. Yes, I have a Lions jersey because I didn't have a current one. Mine's old. Yeah, unbelievable what's going on here. Jacob Zuma. So SARA President Colleen Makubele, she made a comment, but Zuma threatened the Independent Electoral Commission to not release the results tomorrow, and said if they do release the results, there'll be trouble. 5 p.m. tomorrow, President Ramaphosa is scheduled to attend the release of the election results. The argument stems from 579 objections to the election process issued by a number of parties. This is crazy. But Colleen Makubela, I'm not saying she's a brilliant person, but she says 20 parties have also raised objections with the IEC about the election process, and says these parties have found a father in former President Jacob Zuma who will lead them in the issues they've raised to the IEC. And once again, I make this statement unequivocally. Any party who's in one of those 20 parties who doesn't disavow or criticize the comments of Jacob Zuma in that press conference tonight, their voters should abandon them. This man has threatened public violence. He's threatened public safety. Unbelievable. Jack says most of Port Elizabeth power has just gone out. Well, okay. Let's be calm. There can be lots of reasons for that. Not going to make any projections, but thank you for the update that the power's out in PE. Wow. Wow. Nobody is going to announce tomorrow unless they were not working with us, says Jacob Zuma. He claims that they have more information to give to the IEC, and therefore they should not be rushed. Now, to be fair to Jacob Zuma, not that he deserves it, but to be fair to the 20 parties who are upset, they have a point. They have 7 days. We actually have until next Thursday before the IEC is required by law to certify this. But the problem with that is that the objections, they're saying, won't materially change the outcome. And I suspect that's the case. So if it doesn't materially change the outcome, taking into account the votes that are in question, then why delay this when parties under the Constitution have just 14 days to form a government? 14 days to form a government. So you lose a whole week there. They need to get a government formed. Unbelievable. Nobody is going to announce tomorrow. Now, this Jacob Zuma followed up by saying, people must not be provoked. There is going to be trouble. Now, you can infer whatever you want from that. What I infer from that is a direct threat to public safety. And once again, at this hour, there should be a judge issuing a bench warrant for the arrest of Jacob Zuma for terroristic threats against public safety. Let the courts decide whether he did or not. Yep. So we get parsing here. So power's gone out. Daily Maverick has been told to spread false information. Can be that. I don't know. Chris, you've been in the game a long time. What's your opinion? We know what war smells like. Yeah, RD. My opinion here is that anyone that panics is mistaken. Don't panic. There's no reason to panic here. But anyone that dismisses this as he didn't threaten public safety is either willfully ignorant or intentionally misleading us. He threatened to report them because Fikile Roma says he threatened to report them because he had proof. He never threatened violence. Please let's not twist. I didn't. No, okay. I'm sorry, Fikile. Again, let me read this to you very clearly. These are Jacob Zuma's words. People must not be provoked. There is going to be trouble. And by that, he was talking about them certifying the results, releasing the results tomorrow at 5 p.m. will provoke people, and there will be violence. So, if he said, this man is just biased. Really, how am I biased, Fikile? And what am I biased towards? What am I biased towards? What am I biased towards? I sat here and gleefully reported the MK success in this election, despite the fact that their manifesto is patently racist, despite the fact that they have no headquarters, they have no source of funding they've disclosed to the public, they have no organization, they are just a cult of personality, and I never criticized them for that. So bias in what way? You're biased. You have unbelievable ability to ignore the truth here. Ed Missile, Santos, public what? Come on, this is a joke. All right, well, July 2020 was a joke too. And when I warned people on June 29th what was coming, people didn't listen. When I told them on July 4th, when Zuma violated the order to go to PL, trouble's coming. When he wasn't arrested by the police commissioner and by Beckett Seeley as they were directed by the Constitutional Court by the 8th of July, trouble's coming. And at the Moy River toll plaza, they burned 100 trucks the night of July 9th, 2021. So Edmondson. Okay. All right. So Jacobson should go to work for Biden. I'm sure they would make good bedfellows. Probably. You take Zuma with him. Take Ramaphosa with him, I should say. I see the trolls have shown up here. The trolls have shown up. All right, so Victoria Nuland was here. Did we forget? U.S. and UK wants regime change. Oh, my God. Why does the USA want regime change? If you're going to make such an outlandish claim, the USA doesn't give flying flip about South Africa. I give more concerned interest in South Africa than the U.S. foreign policy establishment does whatsoever. Absolutely comical. No, Stephen, you shouldn't sell your house and head to Cape Town. No. They gave us 1 day for voting. That was a joke. No, it's not Armageddon. It's not a joke. Countries around the world vote in 1 day. What do you think? You're India with 1.5 billion people that need to vote? Or 1 billion people need to vote? You don't need. You got 15 million people. We managed to get 9 million people in Pennsylvania alone, one state, in a single day without issues. So why can't you do 15 million in a country of 63 million? You can do it. You've done it every time before. Why is it suddenly a problem? See, here's when the trolls come in. This is shocking to see trolls show up here. Wow. How is he going to be rogued by saying voters should be respected? I see. This is just juvenile. Anyway, it's all about NATO and the sea route. Nobody gives a crap about the sea route. It doesn't matter. South Africa. Oh my gosh, do we have to remind people how unimportant South Africa is in the geopolitical realm? These people are left in the 1970s. Oh, we've got gold. You haven't got any gold. You're the 10th largest gold producer in the world. You fluctuate between 6th and 10th. Your gold is so deep in the ground, it's not viable to dig it up. Plus, you have to give all your wealth to elite black patronage puppies from the ANC. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, our geostrategic position, our platinum group minerals. Oh, and the world needs us. No, the world doesn't need South Africa, folks. Sorry, I don't mean to hurt your feelings. That's true. If people want to go to a really cool, lovely place for vacation, yeah, Kruger, Cape Town, the Winelands, Table Mountain, that is lovely. It's amazing. It's world class. But you haven't really got anything people need. BMW parts, we can get those from Germany. Wine, we can get it from Chile, we can get it from Argentina. The whole world can. A sea lane, you don't even patrol the sea lanes. Are you serious? This is comical. Listen to somebody, South Africa, sea lanes. You can't even put a ship at sea. You can't even put a freaking ship at sea. Because Jacob Zuma stole the money along with the rest of the corrupt ANC that was spent $7 billion. It was supposed to be a $3.9 billion program. And they spent $7 billion buying Gripens, which are all grounded, buying 3 cruisers and frigates, which can't go to sea, buying Type 2 and 9 diesel submarines, one of which just recently ran aground in False Bay. Are you serious? Oh my gosh, the sea lanes. Who's patrolling the sea lanes? Do you know who's patrolling the sea lanes? The United States Navy. Good God. We don't need South Africa to patrol the lanes. We're doing it. This is comical. Do you see that? See, this is an example right here. These stupid, childish, juvenile arguments that trolls are putting in here of how poor the education is in South Africa, the lack of critical thinking capability, the inability to take information and synthesize it and come up with an actual conclusion, just throw ridiculous nonsense out there. Anyway, back to what. Let me get back to it. See if there's some more comments. Funny stuff here. Victoria Newland. Good Lord. I don't know. Kenny's hair. The man is simply untouchable. You may be right about that. Jacob Zuma does seem to be untouchable. He's like the Teflon guy. Dogbreaker. I got top chat. That's why I'm missing a lot of the chat here. My apologies. Okay, so I'm wondering where I'm not seeing some of these people chatting here. So my apologies for that. One day was a joke. It's not a joke. It's what's normally done. Musi Mkizi. Wow. How much does MK pay you trolls to come in here? It's like the EFF trolls, except now they're coming from MK. All about the sea route NATO. NATO. What does NATO give a crap about the South Atlantic? Nothing. It's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Lucania Mpumlawana says, I think it's objectively apparent that we have a moron wielding power and influence followed by a swarm of morons who think backwards at least a half century. Well, that's a fair statement there. It's hard to argue with that. Andre says, made my vote still living, also stock up in lead pills. Exactly. Trolls come when they're triggered, says Samantha. The longer the polls are open, the more chance for fraud is better. Exactly. India has a real problem by having multiple elections on numerous days. RD says 100%. The importance of South Africa will be proven in the next few months. Mark my words. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please mark the date. It is June 1st, 2024 at 23:14 in the evening. Deborah de Richter has said that the importance of South Africa will be proven in the next few months. I'll take few to be the common parlance of 1, a couple is 2, a few is 3, and 4 is some. So a few would be within 3 months. You got 90 days. It is June 1st, June, July, August. By September 1st, we will learn why South Africa is important, according to Deborah. So I'm not being facetious or smart aleck. Let's just pay attention to it. Let's remember that date, June 1st or September 1st. We will see why South Africa matters to the world. ANC government turns back on Israel as he went to The Hague. Yep, that's true. I think it's, okay, I already read that. Talk about the subs. yeah, but they'll unsub when they're done. That's what trolls do. So it goes up and down. With all the long queues and early reports of high voter turnout, I still feel like the official count seems missing a chunk of votes. Slippery Pickle, I think there's merit to complaints about the votes. I think there's merit to a lot of people didn't get to vote because they gave up. I mean, anecdotally, I spoke to several voters who showed up at polling stations, in particular places like Table View, and the queue was just so long because there are only 2 tablets and they were incompetent in there that they gave up. And then they came back in the evening. So I'm sure there are people that just gave up altogether, and I wouldn't blame them. I mean, you shouldn't wait more than 15, 20 minutes to vote. That's ridiculous. For foreign investment, we need ANC-DA coalition, but I just don't see that happening. Well, it's possible, Cape Town guy. Stephen Price says, can you get ships to dock? The ships queue to docks are months and months. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, apparently it's very critical for the world. Our Navy, what Navy? Southern right whales? No, it's the jackass penguins, man. That's what it is. In their dress mess, wearing their black and white suits. The USA and UK are put the NC government as the serious. How do we put Cyril Ramaphosa in government? Really? When do we do that? The Midland Botswana's mines are more important than any in South Africa. Yep, and the Congos are more important than anything in South Africa these days. The platinum group the platinum group of metals does matter. It's important to the world's economy, particularly platinum itself. Rhodium is also important, but they're not as critical as people think they are. Particularly as we go to this nonsense of electric vehicles, you're not using platinum for catalytic converters, so that importance will diminish. And South Africa does have an edge there when it comes to platinum group of metals. That's true. Now the USA can bring democracy like in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, Dave Duplessis, smart ass, we brought democracy to Japan, to Germany, post-war Germany, to the rest of Europe, to the Philippines, to a host of countries around the world. We sure did bring it. In fact, we wrote and enforced the Constitution on Japan. And I challenge you to tell me that Japan is not a democratic republic today. Same with the Federal Republic of Germany. I don't agree with the politics of the idiots running it, but yeah, we did bring democracy to those places. So you can talk all you want about Iraq and Afghanistan. Our mission wasn't to bring democracy there. That's the fake media telling you that bullshit, as well as fake politicians. Our purpose in Iraq and Afghanistan was to get rid of people that were trying to destroy the world. And we succeeded in both cases before Obama destroyed it, Trump saved it, and then Biden destroyed it again. Tech Stags agrees with something. I don't know what it was there. Lynn says, why so condescending tonight? Loud for opinions. Condescending, Lynn? I'm sorry. Did you see the guy call me a moron? Did you see the guy tell me that I'm biased? Did you see the guy telling me that I'm spreading misinformation and I'm being condescending? I don't think so. I'm just responding to trolls. And when you don't respond to trolls, then you don't respond to them. Condescending? I'm not condescending. Have I said anything to you, Lynn? No, I'm just responding to your first comment there. Crystal DeBeer says, I want to see what the police are going to do. Yeah, well, that's a good question about what's going to happen there. The Black Pearl, our Navy submarines are to protect the soldiers that go up the river from Great Whites. Dragon Beacon, how's it going? Or do you mean I'm condescending? Lynn, maybe you meant I'm condescending towards South Africa. No, I'm just putting things in context. And see, now people will infer incorrectly that I just don't like South Africa. Really? Why did I spend tens of thousands of dollars coming to South Africa and covering South Africa and traveling to South Africa so that people aware of what's going on and learn about what's happening here? And why do I promote South Africa endlessly to the world? So maybe that's what you meant by condescending. No, but those are facts. America's in a crapper right now. I'll tell you the truth about America too. We've got $2 trillion in deficit spending this year. Our currency will collapse at the rate we're going. And then the world's economy will be in the crapper and it'll be our fault. So yeah. Anyway. Not condescending. You're inferring incorrectly. I'm sorry that you're inferring it that way, Lynn. It's not the way it's intended. But I am responding to people who've been playing games here. Can't have EVs. Yep. Voting must be like using a public hospital. You arrive for an appointment, then you tell you come back at 8 a.m. Well, that's an interesting approach to it. At least South Africa's moved on from the pandemic. Yeah, exactly. RDC is 100%. What am I missing here? I'm missing a few things. Solution to end this is negotiate Western Cape. Well, yeah, but the people don't want that. Deborah says Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya were a danger to the petrodollar. That's a very simplistic, and that's not an insult, Deborah. That's a very simplistic analysis. The threat to the petrodollar. What exactly do you mean by that? The petrodollar. Oil is a fungible commodity traded in U.S. dollars the world over. People sell their oil in Argentina, not Argentina, in Venezuela in dollars, in Norway in dollars, in Nigeria in dollars, in Angola in dollars, in Texas in dollars, in the North Sea in dollars. And people can buy that oil from anywhere in the world. No one controls that market. OPEC tried to and they failed. So what is at risk here? The access to oil coming from Iraq and Afghanistan and Liberia? Or not Liberia, I'm thinking Libya, you spelled it incorrectly. Libya. Okay. So who gets oil from Libya, from Iraq and Afghanistan? There's no oil in Afghanistan, by the way. That's just a fairy tale. There's no oil there. But who gets oil from Iraq and Libya? Does America buy oil from there? No. South Africa does, and Iran, and Europe does, and Japan does, and China does. We don't buy oil from there. We're the world's largest energy producer. And we didn't buy oil from there when we invaded and went to Iraq. That's just nonsense. Those are fairy tales and lies. These are all a matter of record. You can look these up. All the data is there. The entire global oil production every year, the Energy Information Agency produces that stuff. Has produced it for decades. It's available. It's publicly available. It's free. You can actually do the research. You can do the research. We had quite a few issues here in Table View. The queues were horrendous. The one my mother-in-law voted wouldn't. Yeah, no, that was Cape Town guy. When I went up to the front of that line at Table View, I talked to an elderly colored couple who came outside. And I said, how was your experience? And they said, well, we waited an hour and 45 minutes. And it was frustrating because when we got to the polls, they told us since we're over 60, we could have just jumped the queue. Yeah, see, there was very uneven training. Charles is very condescending. So, Dogbreaker, good to see you again. Hey, Fleshin, in from the UK. Charles Van Onselen, people are disappearing now because the trolls aren't saying anything. White South Africa will definitely have to move. It's such a devastating coalition, but where do I go? Money's always a problem. Dragon, the Armageddon coalition isn't a fait accompli. That's the analysis I did 2 months ago. I called that coalition ANC, MK, EFF, the Armageddon coalition. It's not a done deal. Those countries want it to be paid in their currency or in gold. Okay, Deborah Richter. So we're supposed to pay the Libyans in Libyan dinar, a non-convertible currency that no one uses in the world except Libyans inside Libya in a controlled economy. So people are supposed to buy the oil with that. Where are they supposed to get these dinars from? And what are they supposed to exchange them for? Nobody keeps dinars in their damn banks. So in gold? Really? You want people to pay for oil in gold? Do you realize that the entire world supply of gold, all the gold ever mined in the entire world in the history of humankind, including the gold taken from Latin America, from the Aztecs and from Peru and all these other places, and all the gold mined in South Africa, and all the gold mined in Australia and the United States, and the gold rushes, and the Klondike and Alaska, and all that gold will fit in 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Every ounce of it. And you're going to take 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools and trade 100 million barrels of oil every day? I mean, it beggars the imagination that you even think that's possible. 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Now, that's a buttload of gold. But you can put all that stuff on a ship. 100 million barrels of oil are burned every day globally. And people are supposed to pay Libya in gold for that? To pay Iraq in gold? Yeah, that just doesn't work. Exactly. Justice, there's not enough gold and physical exchange is too slow. Exactly. You can change dollars like that online. You can change dollars like that in electron transfer. You physically have to move it. Now you can do an electron exchange, but then you don't actually have the gold. It sits somewhere. It sits in reserve. So that just doesn't work. Your land. What's this, your land? They must return our land before first. Nicholas and Lungus. Whose land? I'm sorry, Nicholas. You owned land? When were you dispossessed? Please share that with us. Because it's entirely possible you're dispossessed if you're over the age of 40. So please tell us what land was taken from you, Nicholas. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask you next, did you file a land claim between 95 and 99? If not, did you file a land claim during the second illegitimate process that Jacob Zuma created, which came with 141,000, mostly duplicative or fraudulent claims in the last decade? So which land claim did you file? And did they not resolve it? Did they offer you money? Did they offer your land back? What land was taken from you, Nicholas? Honestly, was your land taken in Northwest Province, like the commercial farmers had their land taken from them in the 1980s so that the apartheid state could create Botswana and moved white commercial farmers to KwaZulu-Natal, and their lives were disrupted, places they lived for nearly 2 centuries? What land was taken from you? Now, in the 1980s, 2.5 million black South Africans were dispossessed of the land. That's a true statement. But I'd like to know what land Nicholas had taken from him. Do you see this bullshit, this nonsense that comes in here? These people try this stupid, what-if games. RD, the Khoi are the first people. That's not true. They are the longest here people in South Africa, but they're not the first people. There were hominids that came long before them. Homo naledi was here hundreds of thousands, millions of years before there were any Khoi and San. There have always been people migrating in here. But yes, as far as who is here that still exists, that's been here the longest, the Khoi and San. You are correct. But see, people want to play these games. It's like, well, get out of Africa. You're a European. I'm not a freaking European. I'm a Homo sapien. And my ancestors came from Africa, if you believe in evolution. Just we were smart enough to get the hell out of here. My ancestors were smart. They're like, let's go to Yemen. And they found that sucked too. So they went to the Caucasus. And they're like, it's cold here. And there's saber-toothed cats. And they like to eat people. We're out of here. And they marched into Europe. And they kept going further and further away from the sun. And it got lighter and lighter. And then one of them had a genetic mutation, knocking boots. And look at these beautiful blue eyes. Ooh, that's sexy. So then they covered the ones that had blue eyes. Next thing you know, we got blue eyes and blonde hair. Whoa, and that scares the bejesus out of the people that are ignorant of history. All right, what else? Pennsylvania can now extract lithium from waste products. That's correct, Gus. That's correct. I reported that story over a week ago. We can potentially, from the fracking waste products in Pennsylvania alone, an energy-rich state, which is being crushed by the Greenies and by the Democratic governor, we can get 40% of the anticipated lithium demand for the United States from Pennsylvania alone, just from digging up the waste products. Crazy stuff. Nobody is giving up solid gold for promised oil. Who are the first people? Okay, Bantu originate from West Africa. That's correct. Somebody else said I'm correct. They can have the land, but it's buried 6 feet under. Okay. We're getting back our land. You guys think you're smart. N says we're getting back our land. Who's we and what land? Please elaborate. My land was stolen from my ancestors in Ireland. Am I getting it back? No. Tommy says I should go into comedy. Okay, what else we got here? The ocean land always seems to be land that has been improved by generations of family. Well, that's a good point, just like Zimbabwe. Can the DA find a leader with less nerves? That's a good question, Cami. That is a good question. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, 100% nailed it. Okay, people whose land was stolen, government gave it back to them. Choice, exactly. What else we got here? What's this? You thieves. Oh, we got another troll here, Millicent. Just because black voted for you, not even 2 seconds, you're already showing your true colors. Black voted for me? There's virtually no black people in my district. The black population is less than 2% in my voting district, probably about 1.5%. It's possible that some black Pennsylvanians did vote for me, but I don't know because we have an anonymous ballot. I don't get to see who voted for me. Of all the people who voted for me, most of them were white folks, and most of them, honestly, were probably people over the age of 40 who voted for me. So I don't know what you're talking about, black folks that voted for me, who voted for me. You know what you're talking about. My land was stolen by the English, as the Welshman. He's correct. Yep. Right. Come on now, Chris. You should be wearing a Shark shirt. We all know the South Africans' favorite team. Actually, I was wearing the Stormers shirt earlier, along with my Stormers flag sitting right here on the table when I did the previous broadcast, because I'm a Stormers and a Province fan. And I was at the game at DHL Greenpoint today. I'll be next week at Loftus, covering the game as a credential media person, as well as have my own seat in the stands. And I did that last time I went there. I sat in my seat, went to the press box, back and forth. So if anybody's at Loftus next week, I'll be staying there for 2 nights. If you want to get together, you're welcome to do that and see you at the game. So God's window is amazing, dangerous though. Yep. I know the big patch of land in Cape Town is some sort of castle in front of it. I'm going to claim some land in Pala Pala. Anyway, all right, look. Blue Bulls all the way says the commentary corner. That's fine. The Bulls won today, barely. The Sharks played pretty hard for pride. Large parts of Uitenhage have been being flooded. What? Jax, are you okay? Jax, is anybody else? I mean, look, I have no reason to lack the veracity of what Jax is telling me. But, I mean, she's told me that the power's out all over PE. Uitenhage is being flooded. Have you seen this, Jax? Are you out seeing this? It's pretty late. Or is someone telling you this? Okay, Kami Chalka, we got it. Stop spamming here. You got your point across. You don't like the DA. I even chuckled at that, so enough. Thank you very much. One of the monitors handled it. Rain is heavy in Port Elizabeth. Okay, thank you, Reno. Tommy Kabaka says, I believe in education. Let's start there. The land is up to it's up to the colonists. I'm young and stupid and believe in education. Well, Tommy, you were 100% correct. I've said that from the very outset. The ANC should have focused on security, law enforcement, education, and a national sovereign wealth fund. But instead, they took their own path, which has proved to be disastrous, particularly in the last 15 years. So education is the key, and education that the ANC provides is worse than Bantu education. 30% in 3 subjects, and then 40% in your first language. You're handed a certificate saying you graduated from high school. You go to the workplace and people won't hire you because you're functionally illiterate, and then you want to complain it's because you're black. It's not because you're black, it's because you're functionally illiterate, because the ANC intentionally made sure that you were dumb by not giving you a quality education. They've stolen trillions of rand they could have used for education. We still have children dying in pit latrines because the ANC stole the money that should have gone to putting in abolition units in schools. There were abolition units in schools back during the National Party days. So why aren't there schools with abolition units today? This, particularly in the Eastern Cape, we just had a 3-year-old die in a creche that's paid for with government funds. No oversight. MP full of current live bids and such. Okay, thank you. Security groups. Thank you, Jax. That helps me out. That gives me some stuff to fall back on. Okay. Support winners only. Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, I'll look at that when I get done. Maybe I'll be up all night again. Justin Unwin says Stormers double plus. Nick Rose says Jackson's right. Massive storm in the metropole here. Maybe that's why the power's out. They may have shorted out lines or flooded a switching station. So that may be what's going on in PE. Sports is a distraction, but necessary to avoid mental illness in today's reality. Anyway, with the coming industrial disruptions, labor is going to flip again, and we wise get ahead of the tech developments. Exactly. Jacques Rofolletza says, not sure if you cover this, Chris. Do you think Zuma MK will try to go independent in Natal? Actually, I have, Jacques. I've talked about it previously, but not in the context that you're asking, and I'll do that right now. I'll stay a little bit longer. I was going to wrap it up. I'll do a little bit longer, then I'll come back and wrap up the story and reiterate what we talked about and see if there's any developments. So then Deborah's come back with some stuff here, trolling me, and I'll come back in a second. So I have talked about this. I've said that the people who are dreaming of Cape secession may find themselves second in line. It's much more likely that the Zulu would secede from South Africa before Cape does. And the Inganyama Trust is in KwaZulu-Natal, 2.8 million hectares, and I think it's very possible the Zulu. Now, you give an interesting approach to it. Will the reascension of Jacob Zuma and the purported leader of the Zulu people, which he's not, but he seems to be claiming that mantle, will that lead to secession? Well, that is interesting. I think that's something that will be discussed by people, but whether it happened or not, that's a different story. Most of the towns that did not exist since the beginning of time were given German, British names like Kempton Park. So when the USA and Britain pushed the ANC, South African Communist Party, for black government for South Africa, they didn't know that they were communist, terrorists, and corrupt. Again, where do you get the nonsense that the U.S., I mean, what's your evidence that the U.S. government and the British pushed the African National Congress, South African Congress, and the Communist Party for a black? First off, the ANC wasn't black. You're factually incorrect there. So, Deborah, so let's get that fact. Let's get that. I mean, did you come over here from the Eucalyptus channel? So the ANC wasn't black in 1994. The ANC was full of white leftist liberals. Much of its leadership were white communists and leftist liberals. It wasn't black. So there was no push for a black government. There was a global push to end apartheid because it was seen as an unjust system. And if you read my article in the Daily Friend, then you would know exactly that. In fact, let's go to the Daily Friend right now and read part of my article. Yes, so I'll just do that. I actually have it here typed up, but it's probably easier to find the daily article. The Daily, D-A-I-L, Daily Friend. There we go, Daily Friend. Okay, let's go there. And, okay, let's see if I can find my article, which was published on Election Day. Election Day. I love how Cape Town can learn from Minneapolis about housing. Nothing. Okay, is it still here? Where's my article? Here we go. Friend or foe, Chris Wyatt, May 29th. Okay, so I'm going to read some of this. So whose side is South Africa on? Today's South African national and provincial elections are helping focus attention on its relationship with Washington, D.C. Bilateral support to reconsider the United States diplomatic relationship with South Africa has suddenly surfaced during election year in both countries. So, then down here. Throughout much of the Cold War, South Africa managed to maintain ties with Western powers, primarily as a perceived anti-communist ally and a strategic partner owing to its mineral resources and geographic location. But those relations became strained as popular support rose to combat the apartheid system of separate development that resulted in racial discrimination. There were also tensions due to South Africa's military engagement against a loose coalition of southern African countries committed to ending apartheid and white minority rule in South Africa and Rhodesia. They were known collectively as the frontline states. The ANC came to power 3 decades ago amid a wave of global support, especially from Western democracies who hailed the end of apartheid under the early leadership of Nelson Mandela. With some initial success in redressing historical disparities and making economic progress, South Africa appeared to all who cared as a golden child on the global stage, supported almost unequivocally by Western democracies. However, warning signs began to emerge in 2008, 14 years into ANC rule, when President Thabo Mbeki, a technocrat, was deposed in what effectively amounted to a palace coup in Polokwane, and was replaced by Jacob Zuma as president of the ANC and, by extension, South Africa. So there you go. So that's my article in the Daily Friend, and that addresses kind of what you're talking about there. We were against communists, and South Africa's government moved to end apartheid without any prompting from us. If you know the actual history of South Africa, you'll know that P.W. Botha is the one that started the change, not F.W. de Klerk. He's the one that started it during his administration with clandestine meetings with Nelson Mandela and others, and reaching out to others for a variety of reasons, not the least of which was demographic concern. But when the end of communism came, the formal communism, not the garbage we have today, and the collapse of the Soviet Union, the raison d'etre, the reason for existing for the National Party was gone. They can no longer convince white South Africans of the Svat. They could no longer convince white South Africans of the red menace, because it didn't exist anymore. It was gone. That had nothing to do with America. It had everything to do with the leaders of the National Party. Deborah, if you're bumhurt about what happened in 1991, your anger should be directed at your own people. We had little to do with it. And I know. I was on the global stage at that time. Tommy says, I'm a qualified electrician, complete my studies through my national grant. Awesome. Congratulations, Tommy. Did you grow up in poverty like I did? I went to university on a full grant from the state, the federal government, and a student loan. I had to borrow money. I was poor. I don't know. You say a national grant. A grant to me means someone who got money because they're poor. James Hobbs and P confirm we have some serious rain, okay? Wow. Hi, Colonel. Hercules Duprier says, if Zuma's terrorists and criminals not stopped now, there'll be real trouble. Agreed. Agreed. Oops, what's going on here? What else? What else here? There's so much to Samantha. What's that? N is making fun of Chris Ayler's typo. Okay, well, if you think it's funny when people make typos, you're going to demean them. That's on you. Rowan Lawrence says, what's happening? Oh, Rowan, you just tuning in? So Jacob Zuma concluded a press conference with 20 leaders of 20 other parties, including the UIM, apparently Union Beer was there, in which he said the following. He told the IEC that they better not release the results tomorrow at 5 p.m. He said he's threatened the IEC not to release the results on Sunday. He says there will be trouble. He said, nobody is going to announce tomorrow unless they're not working with us. In other words, if you don't do what Jacob Zuma tells you to do, then there will be trouble. And he said, he claims that they have more information to give the IEC, which is probably entirely true. And therefore, they should not be rushed to complete the release of the election results yet. Jacob Zuma followed this up by saying, and I heard this, I heard his words, I've heard the recording. People must not be provoked. How are people being provoked? By releasing the results of a democratic election. He said there's going to be trouble. Well, what is trouble? Well, that's a threat to violence. That's what I see in it. So MK is just gaslighting everyone, testing the waters because the thing around Post is weak. They want to see this. Actually, Commentary Corner, you make a very valid assessment. It could very well be the case. It could just be nonsense and hot air. It could be a way to negotiate. But it's a dangerous way to negotiate. It is a foolhardy way to negotiate. It's a foolhardy way to get what you want. He didn't publicly make any such threats in July of 2021. Yet look what happened in the days after that. Samantha says, there was so much hope. I was 21 when I voted in the referendum, I believe. Yeah, Samantha, it was. Yep. Apparently, Bakken's area is a bit rough, okay? And somebody asked about me covering farm murders. Yeah, I've been covering farm murders forever. So Deborah says, Chris, either you don't know the true meddling in South Africa out of USA, or you were sworn to secrecy. I thought you knew better. I never said that the USA had no impact on South Africa's foreign policy. But if you honestly think that the United States government under George Herbert Walker Bush forced South Africa into accepting communism, I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. I had to pay my own studies, and okay. I see corrupt, justice is corrupt. Well, that may be true. RD, what did RD ask? See, these are not showing up. I'm not getting all the comments. Oh, you're in South Africa now. What's your opinion of farm killing? Is this fake news? Oh, it's not fake news. Oh, good Lord, no, RD. In fact, I'll be seeing someone tomorrow whose mother and father and sister were brutally murdered in the Northern Cape a couple years ago. I'm not going to release the name of the people, but I'm meeting with the survivors of the farm murders. They went in on the weekend on their farm. The parents, I think the father was in his 80s, the mother was in her late 70s, and the daughter, her sister had gone up to visit them for the weekend. They came to the farm, a woman and three guys. They tied them up. They beat them. They took the old man out and they took the daughter out to a field and they murdered the old man in front of the daughter, apparently. And they found it later on. And then they gang raped her, apparently. I don't know if that's, I believe that's what the press report. I don't know if that's true, and I really want to know the salacious details. And then they murdered her and dumped her somewhere where it took a while to find her. All they took was their baki. They didn't take and their mobile phones. I think they didn't take their laptop or anything like that. They just murdered them because they were farmers and they weren't even farming anymore. No, there's no such thing as propaganda when it comes to farm murders. And it doesn't just happen to white South Africans. And see, that's the thing. I've been reporting this since the beginning. It's called rural insecurity. And the media lie about it, and then they try to make this claim that people are being Cassandras. No, the number of people murdered in rural South Africa is astronomically high as a percentage of people who are actually there. The murders are insane. Edward Neumeister was butchered with a panga so badly that his daughter returned from Germany. He was an Austrian who moved here 50 years ago. During lockdown, when his restaurant was closed, they tried to rob him. He was so badly damaged and cut apart with a panga that his daughter, when she flew to South Africa, could not even identify his face. 68 years old. Unbelievable. The man was mortally wounded from panga attacks, bleeding profusely, got up and stumbled back into the kitchen to prevent the attacker from assaulting his partner. This is real. This is real. These farm attacks. Brendan Horner was murdered. That one may have been something to do with the police. We don't have the truth of the matter. The list goes on and on. I've been covering farm attacks forever. But I cover all attacks. I cover the attacks of people who are killed needlessly if the media shares their names and the circumstances. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to report it. Tommy said, not against him, but I believe in understanding our history and also yeah, well, I agree with you, Tommy, too, because people have to know the whole history here. So, Artie, there's my take on that. So, I hope I answered your question. What else did I do here? I like the gaslighting comment. That's good. So, it might be right. I'm way behind in the chat now. I'm trying to catch up. What this country needs is a real sawdust holy grow survival. Okay. Cape Town guy says Zuma will rally his people to war if he doesn't get his way. Well, hope not. Dobry, correct, Chris. The new dispensation started as democracy and unfortunately evolved into oligarchy giving life to communism again. There you go, Dogbreaker. You said it pretty well. Yep. Putin has defeated NATO, therefore you should respect him. Really? NATO has been defeated? I don't recall fighting Russia. That's interesting. We arrested this person this morning after he sliced another person's face with a garden shear. What? At Blouberg Beach? I was there this morning. Are you serious? I started my day on Blouberg Beach. Wow. Who got dumped in a septic tank? Oh, you're talking about the gosh, I can't think of the name of the family right now. It's driving me nuts. Adam says, how is it the national count is 99, yet Gauteng is at 99.93? Complete the math, does not add up. Well, what percentage of the vote is Gauteng? So how many votes are there in Gauteng? 2 million? Out of 15 million? And I'm sure the math works. I can tell you the number of voting areas that have yet to report according to the IEC. It was down to a handful earlier. Let me take a look and see. So I'll reload. 99.85 was when I did this in my last broadcast, and I ended and came to do this report. All right, so it's 99.9 now, okay, for the country. All right, and then let me go to Gauteng, and I'll take a look. So I still see one district in the Free State. It looks like it still hasn't reported. I wonder what's going on there. So I got to go to provincial legislature, and I went to Gauteng. Okay, here we go. All right. That's not Gauteng. There we go, Gauteng. Yeah, okay, here's why. There are, let me see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. These are very tiny. I have to look close. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 districts. 3 of them are in DA heavy areas. The areas around us are completely surrounded by DA. And a couple of them are adjacent to DA, and a couple of them are in ANC heavy areas. So let me go back to the national. Let's see what they say, how many have been reported here. So that, okay, hang on a second. All right, so they're saying that 23,268 of the 23,292. So 70, 22, 24 voting districts have yet to turn their stuff in. It looks like one in the Free State, and then all those in Gauteng. Yep. So that's how that happens. The math adds up. I'm not saying the votes are right. I'm just saying the math adds up. Well, the reason I asked is because many friends who have covered the murders have been banned from the country, like Katie Hopkins and others. No, I've been covering the murders forever, but I don't go out of my way to blame people for it. I blame the people responsible for it. So there's different people like Lauren Southern got herself in trouble. So. Now my 5 pence says, "Come to my part of the world and you don't let me know you'll be in the dog box." It sounds like the Hartswater area. Well, I may be going to Uppington, waiting to see. I see playing golf cures terminal illness. It does. Just ask Sheikh Shabir. Shabir Sheikh. Athena says, "These farmers must stop hiring cheap Zimbabwean illegal labor. That's the root of the farmer tax." No, that's not accurate, Athena. That may be anecdotally a case here or there, but that's not true. That's not true. And South Africans need to work and have a work ethic. So, I mean, that's part of the problem here. So Edward Neumeister had no employees. His business was shut down by COVID, and he was murdered. Brendan Horner owned no farms. He was hired as a farm manager to celebrate his 21st birthday when he was murdered. He was tortured and murdered. And he was hung on a fence post as a terroristic action, as a warning to others. So there may be cases of that, Athena, but that is not why it's happening. Many of these farm murders are orchestrated by criminal syndicates. I mean, you don't happen to be someone who's seeking revenge because something had happened a generation ago or happened to you on the farm and you're pissed off, and then you show up at night with cell phone jammers and body armor. Don't tell me it doesn't happen. We've seen this closed circuit television footage of this when farms have been broken into. We've seen it. It isn't every case. It isn't every case, but there are criminal syndicates that benefit from this. So it's a very complicated situation. There are many causes, but one of the big reasons it happens is because the commando system was dismantled by the ANC in the early part of this century under the false, misleading lie that it was a racist system. It wasn't. It was a reserve system meant to protect people in the rural areas and respond to threats, and it was very effective. And the 3 newest regiments in the commando system were entirely black and formed in KZN. And for most of the people in the commando system in KZN who were black, it was the only form of formal employment. Yes, the commandos never should have been taken away. I warned people that would be disastrous for safety, and it turned out to be the case. Yep. Best way to make you understand privilege is to make you lose it. Exactly. I thought this provincial vote was part of the national vote total. We're looking at. No. Okay, no. Let me help you with that, Adam. Okay. Let's be clear about that. Remember, there were 3 ballots. I assume you voted. There are 3 ballots. So I don't know how the 3rd ballot shows up because that had the independent guys, but 2 of the ballots are showing up on the IEC board for the public to view. It's the national ballot. That's where the 200 seats for parliament come from. And then the provincial ballot, which is where you vote for people for the provincial legislature. So those 2 are showing up, and the percentages are different. That's why. So when you look at the national, it doesn't mean all the votes. It doesn't mean all 3 ballots. It means the national ballot, and it means the provincial ballot. So you can have provinces that have low. It's like, for instance, the Western Cape was leading the way. They had 68% of the vote, and other places had 33% of the vote. But that had nothing to do with the national ballot. So, all right, so there you go. As Deborah's here, she said, as I said, the violence and discrimination against whites was predicted by the Boers before '94, and the CIA knew it will happen. Okay, so you're talking about predicted by a rogue regime that was a pariah state for almost the entire world in a minority government that was oppressing the majority population, and you're saying that people should have listened to the intelligence services of the National Party and that make their decisions based on that. Is that what you're saying? This is the same National Party that attacked American commercial interest in the Cabinda Enclave. And they were just supposed to overlook that. Now, I'm not defending that. I'm not saying it was right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what you're saying. So you're saying that a rogue regime, which we get accused of supporting, and then we get accused of not supporting, and you cannot win this thing with the apartheid era. You just can't win. So really, that's what Deborah's saying. How does the voting system work? Please inform me, Anthony. There are 3 ballots. and you vote for a list, and the national list, 200 people come off of it based on proportional representation. So if you get 40% of the vote, you get 40% of the 200, so you get 80 seats. Then there's a regional one, which has independent candidates, and the parties are on there again. You vote for that, and based on percentages, if you get enough votes, 45,000 or so, you get a seat as an independent candidate, and the parties get more seats, and they're divided up, and they go into parliament. And then you have a provincial list for the provincial legislatures, which is getting elected at the same time. There you go. RD voted for 32nd Battalion to come back. Adam says, thanks for the clarity. What exactly is the regional ballot? Is that for certain region? I think I just answered that question, Tommy. Okay. ANC curriculum. Okay. All right, cool beans. Anyway, so let me just summarize once again. Wow, it's been a long day here. Let me just summarize very quickly here once again what happened, what prompted this live stream 20 minutes after I finished the last live stream. Okay, so earlier this evening, Jacob Zuma held a press conference, and 20 political parties. Now, there was a memo signed by all these parties and sent, and I have that memo here. It's signed by a whole bunch of parties. Let me see if I can find it really quickly here. I downloaded it earlier today off of Twitter. I didn't know this press conference was going to happen, so I'm glad I downloaded it, but my computer's a little bit slow. Let me see. Come on. Actually, no, that's the wrong place. I'm supposed to be in downloads. There we go. All right, so give me a second here. I'll try to find this memo, and I'll read some of it to you. But it's very confusing. They had sent it, was it last night, I think it was, to the IEC, these 20 parties, which included the MK party. Now, what I read was it was parties in the Western Cape initially, and all the parties that competed here, except for the DA, wanted a recount. So this was sent on the 31st of May, so it was yesterday, last night. To the IEC commissioners, the undersigned political parties in the Western Cape, so this is one letter, urgent objection in terms of Section 55 Electoral Act 73 of 1998, under the majority government of the ANC, and combined requests for condemnation pertaining to the 9 p.m. deadline this evening. They had until 9 p.m. to raise their objections, and that's part of the beef that Jacob Zuma has. And I think it's a fair point for Zuma and MK to have it, but it doesn't justify threatening public safety. He's right to complain. He should say, we'll take you to court. That's what he should say. We, the undersigned political parties, noting the provisions of Section 55 objections in terms of the said act and the 2100 9 p.m. deadline on said day, and given numerous inconsistencies raised at the meeting this evening at the IEC Results Center that have not been responded to, and while we reserve our rights herein as political parties to raise objections in terms of Section 55, we jointly request condemnation until 48 hours after the last ballot paper has been scanned and submitted for verification. Now, that was not an unreasonable request, because we still have ballot papers that haven't been scanned. It's just the IEC is projecting they'll be done in time for them to certify tomorrow. So what they're saying is that if you finish that at 3 o'clock in the morning, how are we supposed to object to it? That's not fair. And they are correct. But the Western Cape is done. 100% of the results have been reported. They've had their time to report. So, yeah, it's effective. The ANC, the EFF, COPE, AM4C, good. Al-Jamaiah got scratched off. The ACC, NCC, ARA, Land Party, UDM, Arise, South Africa, PMC, the Freedom Front Plus signed this. MK signed it. Al-Jamaiah, there at the bottom, PAG, and the Referendum Party all signed it. So all these parties were complaining about that, not having time. Now, that's true for what's going on tonight in Gauteng. There's still 24, I think I said, voting districts haven't reported. So it's unfair for parties to be forced to file an objection to results that haven't even been published yet. That's fair. And that's fair. For those who came earlier and left and didn't get to stick around and hear the whole analysis, that's the fair part of the argument. I am objective, and I will be honest about those things. So, anyway. Brendan wants to know if my video is going smoothly. Well, I'm not getting any sleep, that's for damn sure. MI5 wants 5 pence wants to have a private chat, not a meet and greet, private. Okay, well, but I mean, aren't you up in the Uppington area? It's kind of far away. What did Tammy say? Start a business. Oh, start a business, employing people, pay tax. My grant was through my intelligence. Okay, well, okay. See, that's why terminology matters. You know, South Africans call traffic signals, which the rest of the world calls a traffic signal, or a traffic light, a robot. You know, a lot of people do that. So it sounds to me you're calling a grant is not a grant. It's a scholarship. Scholarship is earned. You get a scholarship because you earned something. And I think you said through your intelligence, that must mean you got it because you were bright and you were rewarded for being bright and successful. Yeah, people who believed in me personally. Yeah, okay, so they gave you money because of your achievement. It is late, Ruvani. It is. And I've been at this for a while. But we're going to wrap up here shortly, okay? All right, so, all right, cool. And what? Ja, and if you're going to do that, also dann werde ich auf Deutsch reden, weil also es gibt ja wenige Leute hier in unserer Sendung heute Abend, die Deutsch verstehen können. Und es ist ja ein bisschen unfair von Sie, also wenn Sie auf eine andere Sprache, die meisten können gar nicht verstehen und Sie machen also das ist ja, Sie suchen also etwas peinlich zu vorstellen gegen die anderen Zuschauer. Und ich glaube, das ist ja 100% unfair und wir sollen solche Dinge nicht machen hier bei uns. Vielleicht sollen Sie eine andere Sendung zuschauen, ja, weil Sie spielen, Sie machen ein Spiel, das wir finden überhaupt, ja, nicht interessant, soll ich mal sagen. Yeah, so look, if you're going to play games by using different languages, I can do the same thing. You probably don't speak German, and most people here don't speak German, some do. You know, I mean, stick to the language. Most people here speak English and Afrikaans, but if you're a person you're speaking to does speak it, I suppose that's fine. But anyway, yes, and Garrett understands it. On peut parler aussi en français parce que c'est pas juste de parler dans autre langue parce que personne comprend les mots. Ça, c'est pas juste, c'est pas fair, c'est unfair. Nous sommes ensemble ici pendant cette transmission pour comprendre des sujets aujourd'hui, quotidiens. Ça, c'est la raison pourquoi nous sommes là. Pas pour créer des confusions entre les gens à cause de langue. Ça, c'est pas juste. C'est pas intéressant. C'est méchant. C'est méchant. On ne peut pas faire les choses comme ça. Non. Pas du tout. Anyway, there you go. All right, cool beans. All right. Remember, you're doing a great job. If there are no trolls, there are no... Yeah, well, you know, people always say that if you're taking flack, it means you're over the target. Deborah says they trained you well. Yes, Deborah, they did. The hot young chicas that I used to hit on and hit up and chat up at the El Barco Disco in Bad Kreuznach in 1984 and at the Canopy German Club just down the street where I used to drink Schussbier. Yeah, they did train me well. All the dance clubs I went to in Germany where I met young ladies and I learned how to speak German. Yeah, and then the night classes I took with the University of Maryland where I learned the actual grammar. Now, they did train me well for French. The Army sent me to the Defense Language Institute where I graduated with high honors in French. Yep, there you go. Tommy says, I apologize if I offend you, but I don't necessarily have a king or ruler of my kind. No, not at all, Tommy. You didn't offend me. Oh, you're talking to that guy. Sorry. Thanks. Looking forward to hearing more from you. Good night. All right. The young hot chicas. That's right, man. That's right. Die schöne Mädel, ja, die schöne Mädel, das war ja eine gute Zeit, ja. Wir haben so diese Zeit Falco gehabt und Opus, la 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 la, la 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 la, life. We all have the power. Tja, es war eine gute Zeit, Sandra, Maria Magdalena, ja, alle, also ja, Alphaville, big in Japan. It's great. Hey, look, Helene Henstock is here. Welcome, Helene. And Yako says, you know, I'm not going to vote again and stand for 24 hours. Brother, I'm with you. I can understand that. Elections were very poorly executed in many places. But again, before I go, remember that the night that the election happened, I did a live summary that evening, a broadcast, and I related my experiences during the day, and I listened to my viewers, and we took in what they said. Of the 300 or so people who were in during the live stream, we had more than that, but that was a consistent number. 75% of people responded had a good experience in South Africa during this election. They voted in less than 20 minutes in most cases, but 25% had a very bad experience, and their experience should not occur. My viewers spent 7 hours in line at a university in Gauteng waiting to vote. That is unacceptable. That is not appropriate. And the EFF complained about that, and the EFF was correct to complain about that. I can't stand the EFF, but I will be honest, and they were correct. Anyway, that's it, folks. Speaking about pre-colonial times while you bantu or well, what's this? Oh, anyway, all right, that's enough. Thanks a lot, everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Thanks for being here. Really do appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to meet some folks in Belleville, and then after Belleville, I'm headed down to Pringle Bay, and I'll be staying down in that area overnight. We'll have a meet and greet tomorrow at the Burger Bar in Pringle Bay. And at 5 o'clock, assuming Jacob Zuma doesn't start the Infocane, then we will be watching Cyril Ramaphosa with the election results being announced. Grasshoppers considering all the new parties needed 14,000 signatures. Don't you think it's weird that so many of them only got... No, okay, let me answer that. No, it isn't at all, Grasshopper. It isn't at all odd at all. No. Signatures do not translate to votes. Knocking on doors and giving people cards and getting them to sign up to your party doesn't translate to votes. It's not odd at all. Not odd at all. A lot of people will sign a piece of paper just to get rid of you. A lot of people sign a piece of paper, say they're going to vote for you and never go vote. A lot of people sign a piece of paper and say they'll vote for you and vote for someone else. That's just the normal elections. That's just the normal elections. I just went through this, my own election. I know exactly how it works. Peter Funbrady says, where in Belleville? Well, it's a private residence, so I don't have an answer for that, Peter. But I will be back up this way if you'd like to do a meet and greet in Stellenbosch or in the Belleville area. Went to Boston Coffee last time. So, all right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Be safe out there. If there's any more breaking news tonight, I am knackered. That's going to be it. So take care of yourselves, and we'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate your support. God bless. Thanks, everybody.